Welcome to Wisconsin in Focus. I'm Benjamin Yant. The University of Wisconsin is dealing with a bit of a crisis. There are 26 different campuses here in the state of Wisconsin, and not all of them are going to survive the next couple of years. In fact, one's already closed and 3 or 4 others are on their way to closing. You add that with the demographic bubble that's working its way through the college age ranks across this country. And the University of Wisconsin is looking at far too many people, far too many campuses, far too many empty classrooms, and not enough students. In addition to lowering the number of kids on campus, fewer students means fewer dollars. Traditionally, college students pay about half the costs of each university. Half generally comes from the state. There's maybe a little bit of athletic money at the big schools, but it's usually a 50-50 split between the kids on campus and the state in which that campus is located. The University of Wisconsin is now increasing the price for kids in Wisconsin. University President Jay Rothman on Thursday said regents next week will vote on a plan that's going to raise in-state tuition by 3.75%. The quote that we use in the story, "To maintain the excellent education our universities provide, I will be asking regents to approve a tuition increase similar to the recent levels of inflation." As somebody who has to go to the grocery store when we're done recording this podcast, if inflation at the grocery store was only 3.75%. Now, the proposed tuition increase, again, means something different for every UW campus, but in the larger picture, it means in-state tuition will now be $11,604 at UW-Madison, $10,398 at UW-Milwaukee, and anywhere between $8,200 and $9,800 for the state's other smaller campuses. UW-La Crosse will be the most expensive of those at just under $10,000. In-state tuition, that's not a bad deal compared to some states, but again, it is another increase. The UW raised tuition 5% at the beginning of this current school year. 7 UW campuses are also adding extra fees. These are targeted for specific university programs. Rothman says that means things like academic advising, financial aid, and faculty hiring in in-demand programs. There was no list of just which campuses are adding those fees, but I would imagine that many of those fees will be at UW-Madison, UW-Milwaukee, and it is somewhat noteworthy, by the way, to point out that the university is raising fees in order to provide advice on financial aid. We're going to charge you more to tell you how to save money if you decide to come to college. Now, this, of course, is just tuition, has nothing to do with room and board and books and food and all of the other costs of living. Comes at a time when more and more people are opting not to go to the university. Not just the University of Wisconsin, but any university. Like I said to start this segment, there is a demographic bubble that's working its way through college-aged children across this country. Most schools are seeing fewer students apply. Because of the coronavirus and because of recent immigration changes, you have fewer foreign students coming to American universities. And there is a divide between young men and young women when it comes to college degrees. More and more young women are getting more and more college degrees. In fact, the number of men who are attending four-year universities is down somewhere around 25% over the past decade or two. Rothman, of course, says that the University of Wisconsin is still a bargain, and a college degree is still a key to the middle class. He told reporters that the economics around the return on investment in higher education are unassailable. You will do better, substantially better, with that four-year degree and beyond. Said he appreciates that there are concerns around cost, but when you compare the University of Wisconsin to other universities, he said we are still a terrific value. The campuses that have closed or are getting ready to close are the University of Wisconsin's smaller campuses, the branch campuses, the commuter campuses. These are generally two-year schools that for years filled in the gaps. Kids who didn't want to go off and have the traditional four-year dorm room college experience could find a campus not too far, half-hour, 45-minute drive. But as The economics of a university education have changed as more and more kids are going online, as fewer and fewer kids are simply choosing a university. Those campuses are starting to close. The Richland Center campus is already closed. UW-Milwaukee's branch campuses in Washington County and Waukesha County are no longer going to offer in-person classes. Same with UW Green Bay's Marinette campus. There's been talk behind the scenes that in the next 3 to 5 years, there won't be any UW branch campuses at all. That still will leave 13 four-year universities, and it's unclear if all 13 of those are going to survive. Remember, Wisconsin is a state of barely 6 million people, and when you take a look at the trend in population, it does not support the idea that more and more young people are all of a sudden going to decide that they need to spend 4 years at UW-Platteville. This is a story that is going to have long-lasting repercussions because anytime you raise the price, you sometimes price people out of the market. And it comes, as I said, when the UW is also announcing furloughs and layoffs. So we will certainly write more on this as we go. You can keep up with this story and more over at thecentersquare.com.
Knowledge is power, and you deserve to know what happens in your state government. That's why the Center Square's reporting zeroes in on state authorities publishing stories that show where your money goes and who spends it. The Center Square gives power to the taxpayer by tracking politicians' use of the people's money and demanding transparency from state-run agencies. This is how the Center Square equips you, the American taxpayer, to hold your state government accountable. Sign up now for your state's Center Square newsletter at thecentersquare.com.